Hello, my beautiful people of Earth. What is up? What is up? What is up? It is early. It is early, and I actually decided to sleep like an hour later than I have been. And that's okay because I went to sleep a half hour later than I should have, so I did that to make up for it. So I'm kind of on a different scheduled routine today, but that's okay. That's okay. Just go with the flow, right? But I won't do this tomorrow, guys, because you need to do something. Well, okay, this is what I heard, okay? I'm not telling you facts right now, but this is what I heard. I think it's 21 days. You need to do something for 21 days to make it become a habit, like to make it stick where it's not as troublesome or hard to do. And that for me is getting into this morning routine that I started for myself this year. And so far, what have I done? I've done it for 3 days in a row, 2 or 3 days in a row already. And it was so funny. I came home yesterday and I was just like, oh my gosh, I don't want to do anything because all this week I've just been doing things, like, but not like overworking myself, like easing myself into it, but being productive. I've been productive all week, and I was just like, man, can I just like watch like something mindless right now where I don't have to think or strategize or anything like that? And then I thought, I was like, what, like how, because this is my plan for 2022, right? Like this is what I plan on doing. So I was just like, man, what day is it? What is the first week of 2022? And I'm already tired. But I'm not tired. It's just like, but if that's the case, then I knew I needed to take a little break because I shouldn't be feeling that way. So if you ever feel that way, you're feeling a tiny bit overworked, not too much, I suggest taking a small break. Just because you don't want to overwork yourself. That's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to avoid so I can be my most productive all the time. So that's why I woke up a bit later today. I'm telling you my whole life story. And I was born in... No, I'm joking. Oh my gosh, my cat's like scratching my chair like it's a scratching post. I think it's because her scratching post is covered. Haku, your scratching post is over here. Okay. Anyways, hi. This is what you came here to listen to. Wait, this isn't what you came here for. It's 6:30 in the morning on the dot, guys. Give me a second. I just woke up a half hour ago, okay? Usually I wake up at 5. Well, I have been for these past couple of days, but like I said, the whole thing, the whole spiel. So, hi. How are you? Man, if you guys have been listening to this for a while, like, think back to how this podcast originally started. Not like why I started it, but how it sounded when it originally started. I think the first episode of this was like so quiet, and I don't know, I feel like I didn't know what the hell I was gonna talk about. And then, yeah, I don't know. It's kind of weird. Okay, anyways, I'm sorry. I'm falling back into a daze. So, I hope you've been well. The reason why I said that was because I thought about the self-care checklist that we used to go through every episode, guys. If you are new, every episode we would go through a self-care checklist where it would be like, okay, are you drinking water? Are you doing this? And so, by the way, that self-care checklist is available for free. You can find it on the link in my bio on my Instagram, Natalia of Earth. It's under the ThirdEyeCyphs section, and it says get your free self-care checklist. You could also get it from the freebies section on my website, thewritingsofnatalia.com. And the freebies section you will find on the Explore page, I believe. Yeah, that whole website is like a maze. It's like a maze. It's an experience, guys. But if you look on the Explore page, that's kind of where you'll find everything else that isn't under read or isn't under coaching or shopping. So Explore is like the rest of the website other than the blog. But yeah, you can get that self-care checklist, and I hope you guys have been well. I hope you've been drinking water. I hope you've been eating your juicy leafy greens. I actually, for the first time, I've never put fresh greens in my smoothies, but I did recently, and some people are like, what? You always do that? Like, people always do that in their smoothies, and like, yes, I know that, but I have like green powder things where it's like, oh, you get like kale, you get alfalfa, you get spirulina, you get like this and that, and it's just like a powder, and you get all like the goodness from it. But recently I just kind of like threw these power greens that I had in there, like fresh power greens, and then my protein actually had greens in it. I forgot about that, so then I got like double the greens, but it actually wasn't that bad. I kind of thought it would be gross, but it was actually really good because I had fruits in there too, and then the protein powder was vanilla, so I don't know, it was good. But anyways, I hope you guys are taking care of yourself. I hope you're enjoying this first week of 2022. I know I have been. Today's a very exciting day for me. I have my first hair appointment ever since years now. I don't know if that was the best way to say that, but I haven't gotten my hair done in forever, and no, there's no special occasion other than I love my life. But I've been needing a haircut really bad. Usually I cut my own hair, and I bought these super like prestigious sharp scissors recently, and I cut my hair recently, but then like all my split ends just returned and the dryness returned, and I was just like, okay, I need to get this professionally done. So I'm getting a haircut, I'm getting a deep conditioning because I just need some moisture in my life, and I'm also getting it colored. I know a lot of you, I did this filter thing on my Instagram story where it made my hair red, and so I swear to you, no, so many people have never responded to one story at all, ever. I feel like I can't speak today. Nobody has ever responded to that many people. I'm trying to find the best way to say it. That many people have never responded to my story, to a single story ever, to me. I don't know, whatever. You get the point, right? I had so many responses to that story, like, oh my gosh, yes, do it. Like, no, I'm not gonna freaking dye my hair fire truck red. Like, that is just not my vibe. That is not my aesthetic. That is not my personality. Maybe it would have been when I was 14, but it's just not. No way. I mean, not to say that people with freaking bright hair does not slay it, because they do, and yeah, and I'm sure I do. I mean, the filter looked great. Everybody thought so. I thought it looked good too, but just no. I would look in the mirror every day and be like, oh my god, what the hell did I do? Like, no, I cannot even imagine. So I'm not dyeing my hair red, guys. I apologize. I know a lot of you wanted me to, and it's just not happening. It's not happening. So I'm just gonna do like a color correction sort of thing. But that's it about my personal life. And then I have a bead expo to go to tonight, which I'm so, after the appointment, I'm so excited about that, because I haven't been to one of those since I was younger. I think the last time was probably when I was around 18, 17 or 18. I think it was 18, and I went with my dad, and he would always take me to like those kind of expo things. But now I have a company and I have a wholesale license, so this is very special for me, because I get to promote my business and I get to buy products for it at a very great price, and they're gonna have really cool things, guys. So with that being said, stay tuned for more products to be released this year. I'm very excited to give you what I have for you, so keep an eye on that. Other than that, that's it. I hope you've been well. I've been well. Life is great. I hope life has been great for you. And if it hasn't been, you need to ask yourself, why is my life not great? Why am I feeling this way? How can I make my life better? And if this is your first episode listening to this, I'm sure you've left already, because I've said so many things not pertaining to the podcast. But if you're here, if you're still here, hello, welcome. My name is Natalia. This is a podcast where we talk about, first and foremost, self-realization, personal growth, personal development, spiritual knowledge, esoteric knowledge, conspiracy theories, law of attraction, manifestation, becoming our greatest versions. You would think I'm reading a script, and I'm not. So that is what we talk about on this podcast. And If this is your first episode, I did 3 episodes before this. Actually, I want to say 4, starting at how to prepare for 2022. And this is basically a series on how to live your best life in 2022, how to set your intentions for 2022, how to realize your goals and your intentions for the new year. So that started with the episode how to prepare for 2022, and it kind of ended last week with the embodiment. What did I call that? How to embody? Let me see. Let's check, guys. So this is kind of like a spin-off from it. Not a spin-off. I don't really know what those are. I think it's kind of like I guess a spin-off. Yeah, I was trying to think of what a spin-off was, and then when I thought about it, that's what this is. So you don't have to listen to this episode to join it with the series, but this is a great episode to follow up with if you've already listened to the series. So last week was how to embody your 2022 best self. And by the way, guys, I forgot to mention we are in season 5. Okay, I didn't realize we were in season 5 until I was uploading the episode, and I was like, oh, I didn't even mention that this is season 5. Do you guys like the color? It is like a pink this season. We've done blue already, we've done green, purple is like the original. Purple's the original, and then I think after purple we did green, yes. And then after green, we did like a reddish, kind of like a reddish brown, or I don't know what the heck that one was. And then the next one was blue. I thought the blue was really nice for season 4, and now we're doing like this really bright pink, and I think it looks so nice. But season 5, guys, if you are still with me from the beginning, I freaking love you. Let me know. DM me on Instagram. If you don't know already, my Instagram is Natalia of Earth. But DM me if you would like some ThirdEyeCyphs merch. I have been making some sick merch for the writings of Natalia, but I want to make some cool cipher merch for you guys. So let me know what you would want to see, and I will get right on that. But other than that, welcome to season 5. Welcome to this podcast. Welcome to this episode. Today, we are talking about inspired action and how to become more aware of when these opportunities arise and how we can take advantage of them. So last week we talked about embodiment. And embodiment was really embodying that new version of yourself. So getting clear on what that new version of yourself is, and then how to embody it, how to start taking steps into becoming that. So for example, if you want to embody somebody who wakes up at 5 a.m. like me, start waking up at 5 a.m. That is how you embody that person. If the most ideal version of yourself eats breakfast every morning at 7 a.m. Start eating breakfast every morning at 7 a.m. Rearrange your schedule and find a way to start doing that. So that's basically what the embodiment is. And then, so action is a huge part of starting to move towards that new version of yourself. So starting to take action. So yes, embodiment is action, that is embodied action. And now we're going to talk about inspired action. So this is when things sort of out of the realm of physicality start working their magic and start bringing us opportunities to start realizing that highest self that we've created for ourselves. So we're going to talk a bit about that. That's what this episode is. And yeah, welcome to ThirdEyeCyphs. Cue the theme music.
ThirdEyeCyphs. ThirdEyeCyphs.
Alright, welcome back, guys. Another beautiful sponsor I'd love to shout out is the Writings of Natalia itself, my brand. And what the Writings of Natalia is a place for you to remember your spiritual nature. It is a full-on experience for you to embody your spirituality in a very modern way. Basically, so you don't have to walk around like a monk, but wear some sick-ass stuff and really embody your spirituality. I mean, people who are on the spiritual path, like, it depends. Like, you could subtly be on the spiritual path, and that's perfectly fine. I mean, that is the spiritual path. path, subtlety, but chaos is also the spiritual path as well. Just to throw that in there, that had nothing to do with this. But basically, it's just so that people, like, spiritual people, like, I know, like, they either get a tattoo, or they wear, like, some sort of bracelet, or, like, you could always tell, okay, or they have, like, something on their necklace, or something, like, you would always tell, if you're also on the spiritual path, like, you would always tell, like, oh, like, I like your tattoo, like, you always know, right? So basically, that's what the writings of Natalia is for, is so that you can have that little piece to involve in your embodiment. I want to be a part of your spiritual experience, so I offer personal coaching, mentoring on how you can improve your spiritual practice, how you can start your spiritual practice if you haven't started yet. I can give you guidance if you're midway, halfway, wherever the hell you are on your journey, and you're feeling a bit lost, you're feeling a bit stuck. I can absolutely provide you with guidance. I also do personal card readings. We do oracle card readings. Remember we used to do card readings every week? We should start doing that again. Okay, I'll think about it. I don't know why I stopped. I think I forgot that we used to do that. But otherwise, yes. And then I provide products for your spiritual lifestyle. So it's a spiritual lifestyle brand that offers personal services to you. So that is what the Writings of Natalia is. If you want to check it out, you can check it out on Instagram at The Writings of Natalia. You can go to thewritingsofnatalia.com and you will find the blog. You will find a bunch of other cool stuff on the website, freebies, free audiobooks, and you can book sessions on there. You can shop products on there. It's cool. Just check it out, guys. So that is it. Thank you for joining me for that. And my cat is about to, like, cough up a hairball or something. But anyways, all right, so that is pretty much it. Do I have announcements? No, other than that, you are beautiful and I love you and thank you for being here. Okay, so inspired action. How can I start this beautiful conversation? So let's start by defining inspired action. So what inspired action is basically the actions that you take based off inspiration. Haha, there you go, end of episode. No, I'm joking. So that is what it is. And it's kind of sent from the universe or your spirit guides, your higher self, whoever you want to consider to be that consciousness that you speak to beyond the physical realm. And some people call it your higher self, some people call it God, some people call it your spirit guides. I don't know what you call it, but either way, it is the inspiration that is sent to you from whoever it is that you think it may be, and it inspires you to take action. And these actions are actually these domino effect actions that help you create this version of yourself that you initially intend to. So, for example, this 2022 version of yourself, who that person is, what they do. So let's say, for example, your ideal self for 2022 is to be a certified nurse. I don't know, guys. I'm just saying something random. Okay, let's not use that because that takes, like, school and stuff like that. Let's think of something simpler. Let's say the manager of a restaurant, okay? You intend to be the general manager of this restaurant that you work at, right? So, you plan out how this person is. This person wakes up early in the morning. I'm sure this is nobody's freaking goal, but you'll wake up early in the morning, you'll be ready for work, you'll be early, you help customers to the best, people will come to you, you look like you have authority, that people will come to you and ask you questions, or some people will come to you thinking that you know the answer. You'll have a bit more responsibility, you'll be organized, you'll know how to structure the restaurant a bit better, how to make it work a bit better, how to inspire the employees, things like that, right? Things that managers do in jobs. So, but you're not the manager yet. You're just like a regular server, okay? I'm creating this whole story for you. So, your ideal self has all those qualities. Your ideal 2020 self is the general manager of this restaurant and has all those qualities. Now, so, gaining clarity. That was the gaining clarity part. Who it is that you want to be. You want to be the manager of the restaurant. And these are all the qualities of that person. So you need to start embodying these qualities. So the embodiment phase, which was last week, is you start waking up early, you start asking to take on more responsibility, right? Or you start trying yourself to take on more responsibility. You start, gaining more knowledge about the restaurant or what it takes to manage a restaurant. You start watching videos like how to manage a restaurant, how to become a great manager, things like that, right? Starting to take that embodied action to become a manager of a restaurant. Now, the inspired action part. So this is when opportunities appear for you to take action on that will move you closer to this goal. So let's say you're at work and you're doing all the work, right? You have this set version of yourself, you're doing the embodied action, and then, you're embodying confidence at your job. You're seeming like you know what you're talking about. You seem very well spoken. You seem great with customers. So customers start coming to you like, hey, I had a question about this coupon, and I don't know, anything, right? So they start asking you things, and because you seem like you know what you're doing, you seem like you know what you're talking about, so people start seeing that, and they start coming to you to ask questions that maybe they would ask the manager instead. And then you prove to them that you actually do know that this knowledge, and you provide it to them, and maybe your peers are watching that, maybe your manager sees that, and they're like, wow, you're doing really good, you're I see a change in you, right? Or something. And then maybe your boss sees that you're doing really good, and they're like, wow, I think you're capable of maybe becoming shift lead. I think that we can train you to start closing the register or opening the register. And you're like, oh wow, thank you so much. Well, that would be great. And then you just start doing that. So that was an opportunity that came to you, right? And you took the inspired action to jump on that. Like, yes, I would love to start opening and closing. So then you start opening and closing. You start doing your best in that. You start really showing that you can do that. And then maybe a problem arises, like, how are we gonna fix this? There's money missing from the drawer. I'm literally speaking like this is actual restaurant stuff, because I worked at a restaurant and I was shift lead at a restaurant, so I know there's money missing from the register. If anybody's a shift lead or a manager that works at any place that deals with money and registers, you know exactly what the heck I'm talking about. There's money missing, I can't find where this payment is, where the money went, blah, blah, blah. And then somehow, you come across a situation, and then you're like, well, what if we take this approach? And then you have this whole approach to it, or you just figure it out. Whatever it is, that problem that arose gave you the opportunity to take action and show your knowledge and show your experience, to show that you're capable and qualified to be at a higher position. So these are inspired actions. These are actually opportunities and synchronicities that are aligned with the vibration that you were setting for yourself. So when you start embodying this new version of yourself, you start changing your internal frequency, or your vibration in general, right? You start vibrating on the resonance of your ideal self, because your ideal self is vibrating at a different frequency than you are currently if you're not embodying that new version. So once you start taking action and start embodying that ideal version of yourself, you start changing your vibration to match that. And then when it matches that, then you're basically that person. You're that ideal version of yourself. So in the process of doing that, you start attracting opportunities, situations, and things to rearrange your life so that you are your ideal version. So that is what those are. Those are really opportunities and synchronicities that come to you when you are on the process of raising your vibration or transferring to that ideal version of yourself. Inspired action, another version. So say you want to start a business, right? You want to be an entrepreneur, but you don't know exactly what you want to do. You don't know what you want to run a business on. You don't know what interests you, right? So first is you need to find out, okay, I'm not going to give you the whole process on how to be attract an entrepreneur, become an entrepreneur basically, but first, what I would say is figure out what it is that you want to start a business on. And this is doing research, things like that. So let's say you're just, you know what you want to do, right? You know what you want to start a business on. You know you know what you want to start a business on. You know exactly what it is that you want to sell or whatever it is, right? You know who the ideal version of yourself is that you need to be in order to be a successful entrepreneur. So maybe that, let's say that's waking up early, that's having a morning routine, that's having a set schedule for yourself. It's somebody who goes to business meetings and does business calls and has a mentor and reads one book a day. I don't know, this is exaggerated, but reads 5 chapters a day of a book, who reads 50 books within a year, who has an iPhone, like very specific things. Somebody who dresses very well, somebody who owns I'm gonna mention my Corvette because, Corvette. Somebody who has a very nice car, somebody who wears luxurious items, somebody who lives in a mansion, right? So I'm just mentioning random things here. So you have it down to a T. You know who it is that you want to be, what the qualities are, what they own, what they wear, how they speak to others, how they feel, etc., etc. Everything that we went over last week. So say you have that all down, you start embodying that person. So you start waking up early, you start dressing a bit nicer, you start creating a morning routine for yourself, you start reading 5 chapters a day, you start doing that embodied action, right? This is where the inspired action comes in. So say, you've started the business, right? This is inspired action, starting the business already. So you're starting the business, and now you're like, how am I gonna generate more sales? So you're doing the research, whatever, but you can't really figure out how to make more sales. So let's just say you're freaking walking down the street, right? Just like thinking like, okay, I need to start making sales, like whatever, just going over the business in your head. You don't even have to be thinking about the business. And maybe you see something, like you see a bus go by and it says like, call me for coaching or something. I don't know. I'm just saying random things here. And you're like, call me for coaching. Maybe I need a coach. Maybe I need a mentor. And then you get this idea, you get this inspiration, like, I think I need a mentor, right? And then you start looking into mentors. So then this is the inspired action. You had the inspiration randomly just from seeing, like, or maybe you watched a movie that he had a coach. You're like, maybe I need a coach. Like, it's just an inspiration, right? Something inspired you to watch the movie. Something inspired you to walk past that bus. Obviously you're not like, let me walk past this bus, but like something inspired you to walk down that street where the bus would go by, right? These are the inspirations, right? Whether you're aware of it or not. So then you have the idea like, oh, maybe I need a coach. And then you start taking action by looking into the coaches. You take even further action by booking a coach and speaking to someone, right? So this is inspired action where you're randomly inspired to do something or to try a different approach or to try something new. So it doesn't even have to pertain to the business itself or to whatever it is that you're trying to accomplish, but you can be inspired to do something else that is going to start a domino effect and trigger something else in your business or whatever it is that you're trying to do. So another example of that would be, let's say you are, I'm trying to think of something. Maybe you're trying to find your passion, right? You don't know what it is that you want to do. You don't know what you enjoy to do. You don't know, you just don't know. You want to figure it out because you kind of feel lost. You kind of feel passionless. You don't know what to do with your time, your life. And then you're like, wow, time is going by. What am I going to do with my life? I don't know what I'd like to do, whatever. So then you start, dabbling in a few things, trying to figure out what it is, what you like. You're not seeming like you like anything, and then I'm really pulling these things out of anyways. So somebody calls you, maybe your friend, right? She's like, let's go skydiving. And then, but you're not really feeling it, right? You're just like, man, like, I've been trying things all freaking week. Like, I am tired. I don't want to do anything. Your friend's like, please, come on, let's go skydiving. Like, I've been wanting to go skydiving. You're my best friend. Let's go, blah, blah, blah. So you're like, fine, I'll go skydiving with you. And, you really don't want to go, but you go. And then when you go skydiving, this could be also in the category of synchronicity, but you go skydiving and then you meet someone at the skydiving place that tells you like, oh yeah, I just went to this concert the other day. It was really nice. Have you heard of this band? Blah, blah, blah. And then you're like, no, I haven't. And you're like, oh, you should check them out. And then Or no, even better. I'm sorry. I'm making these things up, guys. I'm trying to find better things for you. So you meet this guy, right? Or this person, and they're like, hey, I'm in a band. I just played in a concert yesterday. Like, oh, I'm so tired. Like, they're just, breaking the ice with you. Like, oh, I'm so tired. I played a concert yesterday. And you're like, oh, wow, you're in a band? Like, yeah, you should check us out. And then, you guys, like, exchange contact information. And then you're like, oh my gosh, that's so cool, you're in a band. And then it's like, oh, like, do you play? And I was like, no, I don't play anything. And like, oh wow, well, do you sing? And then it's like, not really. Or you say, not really. I don't know. I'm just coming up with this whole thing. And then he's like, oh wow, okay, because we're looking for singers or something like that. And then wanted to see if you would sing. I don't freaking know. And then you're like, oh, okay, no, yeah, I don't really sing or whatever. And then you're like, oh, okay, whatever. But you guys exchange contact information for whatever to hang out. Then you go home and you're like, that would be cool if I was in a band. Like, you kind of like that idea of being in a band. So then you start to, like, sing to yourself. And you're like, hey, I'm actually pretty good. And then you find out that you enjoy singing. You never tried singing before. So then you're like, I like singing. Like, what kind of music is this? Let me see if I can sing this. And then you write him like, hey, like, I would like to try singing for you and see if you like me or whatever. And then next you know, you're in a freaking band and you love being in a band. Okay, this is inspired action by taking the inspired action to sing by synchronicity. Inspiring you to sing. I don't know. That was a weird random explanation, but you get the idea, guys, right? So inspired action comes through synchronicity, through inspiration, through opportunity, and mostly through synchronicity and inspiration. So synchronicity and inspired action, they're all within the same realm. They're kind of a little different. So, but the action part, the inspired action, is taking action on these opportunities, on these inspirations, on these ideas and these things that kind of jump in front of you while you're on the path to becoming your greatest version. So that is what that is. Ways that I have experienced inspired action. Well, let me think of this, and this is all like, this is why I said there's no mistakes or no coincidences. Like, everything is just a freaking path, is a journey, is kind of, everything is just happening the way it's supposed to be. And if you really take a step back from your life, you can see that. So let me think back to the jobs that I've worked since I've moved to California. So I started living in, I don't want to give you the whole details. I'm trying to think of what are the most important details of this story. So basically, I was living in a part of California that wasn't paying me enough when I originally moved here. I was living in that area where I was working, and then I had to relocate to a different area, but I was still working at other job in the other area, so I was doing a bit of a commute. Since I was living in the new area, in Los Angeles, I'll say, I moved to Los Angeles from a different area, so I wasn't in LA originally when I moved here. When I started living in LA and I was commuting back to my old job, I realized I started seeing an ad. I walked past an ad that said, like, oh, pay starting at, I think it was like starting at $16 an hour, something like that. I don't know, something like that. And I was getting paid like $11 an hour, something like that. And then I was like, what? People here are getting paid bank. So then I was just like, man, I'm gonna take, like, that sign, that was like a synchronicity. Like, I walked past this giant sign that said that, and I was already kind of like tired of commuting. I was feeling overworked and underpaid for it, and I was just like, man, I wanna get paid. And it was like a crappy job. Like, I was working hella, getting paid $11 an hour, and the ad I saw was for $60 an hour was like a fast food place, and I was like, what? These people are gonna pay way more than me, and I'm doing way more work than them. So I was just like, man, you know what? I'm gonna look for jobs in LA because it seems like they get paid more. So I started looking into jobs in LA, and then I found one that, so this is even better, right? So around that time too, so I was just like, man, I should really get a job in LA. Then on some random day, I needed to go to the art store. So I went into the downtown LA, and because I looked up this art store, like, oh, there's an art store in downtown LA. So I went to the art store, and I walked past this restaurant cafe that I thought looked so nice. And I ate in there after I went to the art cafe or art store. Oh my god. I went into the cafe or food place, whatever it was, and I loved it. I was so in love with it. I stayed like I spent like 2 hours there because it was just so comfy and so nice. And I was like, man, if I work anywhere in LA, I want it to be this place. And that was just like an idea in my head. Like, I didn't think anything about it. I was just like, man, if I'm gonna work anywhere in LA, it's gonna be in this place. And then, I kind of went home, days went by, and I was still looking for a job. So I was just looking on Craigslist for jobs, right? And there was an ad on Craigslist for that exact place that I went into. And I was like, what? That is crazy. So I was like, yeah, come in with your resume. So I stopped by the place and I brought my resume, and next I'm having a freaking interview. Like, as soon as I went to just drop off my resume, and they're like, oh, do you have time for an interview right now? And I was like, yes. Like, what the heck? So I had an interview right there on the spot, and literally as I'm walking to the bus home from the interview, they call me and they offer me the job, which was freaking amazing. But this is the synchronicity part. Like, what are the odds that, it all started with me wanting to change my job because I was feeling overworked and underpaid. I walked past an ad that inspired me to want to get a different job, and then I had to go to the art store. I was randomly inspired to go to the art store because I needed to get something, and then I saw this cafe, so I was inspired to go inside. I fell in love with it, and then I was like, oh, if I'm gonna work anywhere, it's gonna be this place. And then days later, since I was originally inspired to change my jobs, I was looking for jobs, and then the coincidence that I found that place, not coincidence, synchronicity, that the place that I just said if I was gonna work in any place, it'd be this place, and then that place was the one that was hiring. Like, what are the freaking odds that I drop off my resume, they do the interview there, I get the job the same day? Like, some people would say, like, this is all coincidence, but it's really not. And I love that job. I worked that job for like 2 years, and I had to leave because of the pandemic. So that was the beginning. That was like all around when this podcast started. But I loved that job, guys. Don't get me wrong. I loved that. I probably would have stayed at that job. Honestly, I think I needed to leave for the pandemic because I probably would have stayed at that job because I loved it so much. I was in a nice apartment. I was very stable. I was secure. I was comfortable. I didn't see I was good at my job. That was it. Like, I would have stayed at that job forever. So I think I needed to leave because I would have got stuck there forever if I didn't. So anyways, that was just kind of an example of how things like that have worked for me. Another thing would be this podcast, right? I don't know what the heck inspired me to start this podcast. I think, you know what it was? So I met someone. Okay, look, it even starts with the freaking job that I got. Okay, another example for you guys. So at the job that I was working, the cafe that I loved, right? Some guy came in and he seemed really cool, and he was playing, I think we were playing a song from a band that he knew. And he was like, oh, is this band? I was like, oh yeah, how do you know? And they started giving me like music recommendations. He was super cool. And then we ended up following each other on Instagram. So then, months go by, blah, blah, blah. I see him post that he started a podcast. And this was the beginning, I think it was like the end of 2019, beginning of 2020. And he started a podcast. I was like, wow, this is actually pretty cool. Like, I never even really thought about starting a podcast. And then seeing him that he started a podcast, I don't even think he does it anymore. I think he did like 3 or 4 episodes, and then that was it. But seeing that he started a podcast gave me the idea maybe I should start a podcast. And then I started a podcast at the beginning of 2020, and that was it. I started the podcast. Here we are 2 years later, season 5 in. But yes, that's what inspired me to do the podcast. I started practicing yoga. Starting to practice yoga inspired me to want to start practicing in studios. So I started going to yoga studios. Then I wanted to start practicing so much, and I wanted professional assistants in my practice because I wasn't really I didn't have a membership with a studio or anything. I was just going like here and there, but I would practice every day at home. I was like, I think I need professional help. I want to advance more in my practice. So I started looking at jobs in yoga studios because you can practice for free in yoga studios if you work there. So, or I think I was just looking for a second job or something. I don't know if I was looking for a job at a yoga studio. I think I was just looking for a job. And I might have wanted to take on a second job, or I think I was intending to leave the job that I was at. And then randomly I see a job for a yoga studio, and I was like, what the heck, that would be amazing. Like, I'm looking for a job. Like, a yoga studio job would be amazing so that I could practice there. And so then I applied, and then I kind of forced my way into there. So, like, nobody was answering the phone. I kept calling, I left emails, finally got an interview, and then I finally got a response that I got the job. But then I started working at the yoga studio, and then I started working there for like a couple of days. Then the freaking pandemic happened. But I was having a conversation with the owner before then about me living downtown. I was by myself or whatever. And then when the pandemic happened, she invited me to stay with her. So this is kind of like a chain reaction thing, right? I was looking for a job. I was also practicing yoga. I found a job, coincidentally, that was hiring at a yoga studio. Not too many yoga studios hire very often. And I got the job. And then because of chain reaction, the owner invited me to stay with her during the pandemic. I ended up moving out of LA, and so on. I ended up becoming the manager of a yoga studio. Like, guys, come on. It's cool. It's cool. Guys, it's cool, all right? So basically, those are some examples in my own personal life of some inspired actions, synchronicities, opportunities that have presented themselves to me in the case of me moving towards my dreams. Now, not to say that when I first came to California, I knew what I was going to do with the rest of my life, because I didn't. I think many times in my life, I thought I knew what I wanted to do with the rest of my life, and that has changed many times. Who's to say that it's not going to happen again? I don't know. But the point is, I've always been moving forward. Like, I always knew that I wanted to be successful in whatever it is that I wanted to do. So when I started getting more into spirituality, I know I wanted to be successful within spirituality. I knew that I wanted to be successful in whatever I did as, I know I wanted to do as a career or as like an occupation, whatever you want to call it, what I love. So I wanted it to be something I'm passionate about. I wanted it to be something that I enjoy, and that is how I intended. Sorry, I thought somebody was coming in, so I was just like, it threw me off. So I knew I had a general idea, and by learning human design recently, if you guys are familiar with human design, I'm a non-specific not manifester, but I'm a non-specific manifester. So I don't have to be specific in the things that I want to create. If I just have a general idea, I am still moving towards that thing. But this is something I've learned in human design. If you guys want to know more about that, I don't know almost anything about human design, so don't ask me. You could definitely look into it. I think it's like this thing somebody created, and you have to like pay to learn more information. I don't know. But I learned about it in like the 2022 Epically Aligned thing that I was in recently. So anyways, with that generality, I always knew that I wanted to do what I loved. So it was more in the case of finding what it is that I loved. And I went through so many things. Like, I love doing this, I love doing that. And it got to the point in my life where I realized, because I've always went through phases. So there would be a phase where I was skateboarding a lot. Like, I wanted to be a professional skateboarder, right? But I was skateboarding a lot. Then I would stop, and I was making jewelry. And I've always been making jewelry since I was really young. And I was like, maybe I'll start a jewelry company. And I started a jewelry brand for like a little bit. Oh, I could have been so successful. I think about that all the time. But there's been multiple times where I've started jewelry brands, like during high school, after high school, different ones. Like, I realized that I like to make jewelry, but I also like to make things with my hands. So I like to paint, I like to create things like with clay and things like that. And then I found writing. I love to write, so I wanted to be a writer, right? So all these things I found I love to do. And then when I found out that I love to do them, I put my whole self into it, so I would drop the other things. But then I would find myself that, okay, I kind of got bored of writing, so I'd stop writing, I'd go back to making jewelry. Get bored of jewelry, go back to skateboarding. Like, not skateboarding exactly, but that's the only thing I can think of right now. Making music was another thing. I enjoyed singing. So I kind of, like, I as I got older, I kind of got fed up with these phases that I was going through. Like, can I just stop? Can I just like pick one thing that I like to do? But I realized that I like to do everything. So I came to this realization and found a way to implement all these aspects into my life without pouring my all into this and pouring my all into that. And that's sort of how the writings of Natalia became born as a company or as a brand, because I knew I wanted to write, but I knew I also wanted to create products for you guys. And I knew that I wanted to create an experience, and I wanted to share music with you, and I wanted to share other creations that I make, and I wanted to share spirituality. Spirituality became my biggest passion, like overall, that kind of umbrellas everything that I do. So I found a way to combine those together. So that was to the passion thing. I don't even know how I started freaking talking about that, but the opportunities and synchronicities that have brought me to create the business that I do now, that have brought me to the apartment that I live in now, that brought me to this freaking state that I live in now. I've always wanted to live in California my entire life. You could ask me at 6 years old, or maybe not 6 years old, but probably in my preteen years, like 12 years old, where I wanted to live. I would say California, and I didn't know why. Okay, I don't know why. I thought it looked cool. Like, also skateboarding. A lot of skateboarding history came from California, so I think that was a main reason why I wanted to come out here. But it just looks so chill. And then I took the inspired action to freaking move out here. So I was inspired. When the heck did I decide to go to California? I think I decided to go to California my senior year of high school. Because I always knew I wanted to go to California. I originally started with the idea I'm going to go to school in California. Then I gave up on the school idea. And then I thought, well, I'm just going to go to California. And I took the inspired action to fly out here. And that is that. And look, I'm living my best life. And look, I feel like if I wouldn't have never moved to California, I probably would have never had the inspiration or the idea to create my business, or to even, I wouldn't have had the knowledge that I do now based on my experiences that I've had here. I'm sure I would have had different knowledge if I would have stayed in New York. Imagine if maybe the pandemic wouldn't have even happened if I stayed in New York. Not to say that I was the cause of it, but who knows? The butterfly effect. The butterfly effect says if a friggin' butterfly flaps his wings in the east, it causes a tsunami in the west. So who the heck? It's not like the butterfly like intended to start the tsunami. Like, who freaking knows? So right, the entire reality could be completely different if I would have stayed in New York. The same way, this entire reality would be completely different if you didn't decide to listen to this podcast. But the point is being, the way to become aware of these is to notice when inspiration arises. So if you have set the intention to become this greatest version of yourself in 2022, or you've already set your intentions, you have a goal, you have this idea of who you want to be in mind, you want to become this person, or you want to do that, whatever, you have the goal, right? And then you start, one day you're walking and you have an inspiration. What you need to do is realize when these inspirations arise. So I just randomly had the idea to go into this store. Maybe I should go inside of the store. So taking action on those inspirations, becoming aware of when these inspirations arise, when you have random ideas to do things, and then taking the action onto those inspirations. So calling that coach, going into that store, asking your boss for that raise, whatever it may be, whatever randomly appears in your mind as an inspiration, take action on that, because you don't know if that is the trigger effect to start moving you towards this new version of yourself, towards the goal that you want to achieve. So opportunities, when they arise, when somebody offers you like, hey, you want to go here with me, like, always just take action. Be a yes man, and don't hurt anybody in the process. But literally, if you say yes and you're open and willing to receive these opportunities, to receive these inspirations, this is God, this is Source, the universe, your higher self, your spirit guides, speaking with you through the spiritual realm, to the physical realm, through inspiration, through your intuition, through your gut. If your intuition is saying, I don't think I should go over here, don't freaking go over there, okay? So taking inspired action, realizing when these inspirations appear in your mind, when these opportunities arise to you, and how you can take action on them. So becoming aware of synchronicity. Also, if you have an inspiration, check the time, okay? If you have an idea, check the time. If it's a synchronistic number, or if it's a number that you've been seeing often, because it could be your own synchronistic number, then maybe it's a sign that you should take action on that. So why I say if it's a number that you see a lot, it could be your spiritual number or your own personal synchronistic number. For example, one of my numbers is 132, okay? If I see the time it's 132, I know I'm on the right path. The same way if somebody sees 1111, you're like, oh, I'm on the right path. If I see 132, I know I'm on the right path. If I see 1221, that's another synchronistic number for me. I know I'm on the right path. Another number that I see, it'll be like 1032, so maybe there's a 0 in between. I don't know why I see 132. I don't really know what the heck that means, and I also don't really I know numerology is a factor, but then some people are like, what does angel number 132 mean? I don't really follow that. I just know I'm on the freaking right path. I don't think they're really trying to say anything specific, because I've never found correlation with those things. Maybe you have, maybe it works for you. But either way, knowing that when these synchronicities happen, when these opportunities appear, when these inspirations appear in your mind, this is Source trying to bring you closer to your goals. You are attracting these inspirations, you are attracting these opportunities because you are changing your vibration to be more aligned with this new version, higher vibrational version of yourself. So that is it for today's episode. That was inspired action. That was how to become aware of these things. If you have any questions about this, please do not hesitate to DM me on Instagram. My Instagram is Natalia of Earth. N as in Natalia, Atalia of Earth, this planet Earth. My other Instagram is The Writings of Natalia if you want to go check out my brand. And you can also email me, guys, if you don't have social media. That is perfectly fine. My email is natalialee, Lee, at thewritingsofnatalia.com, and you can email me any questions that you have there. And if you want, guys, I offer free 30-minute consulting sessions. Okay, so you can book a session with me for free on my website on the Thrive page. You can follow the links in my bio on Instagram. You can book a free 30-minute call with me, and you can tell me what it is that you're having issues with, whatever it is that you want to become, anything that it is that you want to discuss with me that you think I can help you with, and then I will get back to you. We'll have a call for 30 minutes. We'll discuss it, and I will tell you how you can move further on your journey, the next step you need to take, and if you would like to work with me, we can move on from there. But guys, this 30-minute free call is free. And if you get something from the shop, if you purchase something from the shop, like a product, then you get your first hour call. So you get the 30-minute free call, and then your first call, if you want to keep working with me, your first hour-long call will be 50% off, guys. Okay, so if you want to work with me, please check that out. DM me or email me for more information on that. But again, if you have any questions on this topic, please do not hesitate to reach out to me. Okay, thank you so much. Love you guys. Bye.
Hari Om. This episode has been brought to you by the writings of Natalia.com. Jai Ma.